Hi everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have a fun show for you today. Our guest happens to be a mega-talented, multi-talented talent, a comedian, a teacher, and author. Please welcome to Psychic Creations, the awesome, and did I mention, brilliantly talented Kat Simmons.
Oh, stop. Thank you very much. I humbly and gratefully accept all that. Thank you very much.
Well, it's an honor to have you on
Thank
our
you.
show
Thanks
today.
for having me here.
You bet. And I know that our viewers are very anxious to get to know you and learn all about you, so I have a lot of questions for you
I
today.
see that. Did you actually use a typewriter?
No, it looks like it, but that's just my
Wow,
word
I was
program.
like, you were old school.
Well, I'm even older than that. I write things in pencil.
Yeah.
Or pen.
Right. I
So I go way back.
I got to put all my stuff on paper too. I'm not like I don't do it on computer like my material and stuff. It always
Sure.
has to be out of my brain through my hands. There's something to that, you know?
Exactly. Isn't that cool? We're learning about you
Yeah.
already. Okay. You don't mind? I have a lot of questions for
I
you today.
see that. It's in very
All right.
small print too.
Well, first off, can you tell our viewers, are you a native Nevadan?
No, I'm not. I sadly wish I could claim to be that, but I was born in Palo Alto, California, at Stanford Memorial Hospital when the Earth's crust was cooling long ago. And but I was 9 when I moved to Reno. My dad is a native Nevadan, and so he got us out of that godforsaken Bay Area, you know, the San Jose area, and wanted to get away from all that crime, so he brought us back to Nevada where there's 24-hour-a-day gambling, drinking, and prostitution. So that's how we got here.
Well, I'm glad Nevada is very happy that you're here.
We lived out in the country though, it was beautiful. The bird really wants to come in and talk, it's right there.
Oh yeah, he's real noisy out there. And so you live now where?
I live in Gardnerville.
Oh, Gardnerville.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I lived in Reno from 1966 through 1978 when I graduated from University of Nevada, Reno. Go Pack!
Yay!
And I married a rancher, and I moved out to Smith Valley.
Oh,
Into the became a rancher's wife, and that was one of my lives. So then I left and came back to Gardnerville 3 different times, and this time being, I don't know if it's the final time, but I've been back for 25 years this time.
Okay, yeah. Well, it is a beautiful area down there in Gardnerville. All right. What inspired you to become a comedian?
I just cannot type very well, and I would die at a day job. They would find me slumped over my computer. You know, I always, truthfully though, I would die in captivity just because I'm a triple Aquarian, and you know, I'm not good at being in the box. But I was doing theater. I did theater, and I loved doing theater. Once I finally got enough nerve, I never did in high school, never did in college, and I wanted to, but I just didn't have the nerve. But I was dared to do a stand-up comedy competition. There was some people in the audience that pulled me over afterwards and said, "How long you been doing stand-up comedy?" I said, "About 10 minutes." And they said, "Don't stop. Whatever you do, just don't stop. You could be the next Carol Burnett if you want to be." And she was like totally, you know, one of my idols, and Lucille Ball. And anyway, that was January 9th, 1986. And 6 months later, I was in LA. Just went to go start stand-up comedy and act, and actually I went to Hollywood to be an actor. That was my first dream.
Oh, okay.
And then the stand-up comedy contest happened, and so I thought, well, I might as well try that again. It went pretty well. Well, that was a whole different thing, you know, at the Comedy Store at 2 o'clock in the morning in front of 2 drunks at a table, as opposed to all my friends and family up at the Lakeside Inn. But anyway, I just kind of kept on keeping on with the stand-up comedy, and I was doing a lot of other things in LA. I was pursuing an acting career and voiceovers and commercials and improv and working. I was having the time of my life though. And then I just decided to kind of put all my eggs in one basket with the comedy. And then I figured when that pops, I'm still waiting. Then the acting doors will open. And you know, I'm not done yet.
Good for you.
I'm not done. So, you know, my daughter's going to graduate 3 months, less than 3 months, 3 months ago yesterday.
Yay!
And so I'll be an empty nester, and who knows where I may go. They might need an aging redhead on one of those sitcoms. You just never know.
Well, you never know.
You could probably tell me that if I asked you, right?
I might
Where's your crystal ball?
I might be able
Tell
to
me.
tell you.
You can tell me what I should do.
I can tell you all kinds of things. But first, I would like to know, and I think our viewers would like to know, where do you get your wonderful and awesome material?
Just, you see that door right there? You just go out that door and you just go out into the world. That is where you get your material. I mean, to me, so much is funny. I mean, tragedy plus time is comedy. So for me, and what I teach in my classes, which we'll talk about later, whenever life gives you, you know, some severe stress and frustration and drama, for me, I'm like, oh my God, there's 5 more minutes, you know. My material is based on reality. I see humor in so many things. Like for instance, last week I go to the car wash. Right before the storm, you can thank me for the last week. I wash my car there.
Sure.
And you know the guy at the mouth of the car wash who always guides you in? Now, every single guy at the car wash does the same exact thing. Right? They all just do this. Nobody goes, come on, there's no variation. It's always just this. You know, I'm like, did they have to go to school to learn that? Anyway, I just see things funny, you know, and I think about everything, which makes me also, it makes me a great observer and also kind of a pain in the neck to be around sometimes because I notice everything.
Okay,
You
well,
know,
sure.
Some people might notice the print on a carpet. I will notice the fibers because I'm a sponge. I pick up everything.
Sure,
So
okay.
I get my material from life, you know, my marriage, my divorce, my kids, my animals, being a woman, the ridiculousness. Happy Women's Day, by the way.
Sure.
All the ridiculousness that we participate in, you know, trying to look like this, but what it really looks like behind the princess zone. I call it behind the princess zone. So that's where I get my stuff. I'm not political. I'm not, you know, I'm not angry. I don't victimize my audience members. I love them. I don't make fun of them. I have enough wrong in my life to keep them laughing before I'd ever have to take pot shots at someone else.
Sure, sure. Well, I've been to your shows, and you're very interesting because, well, outside of being very funny, you actually speak to the audience and you tell your friends or your family, you did this for me. You incorporate them, you associate them in your routines. And I was like, that's awesome that you just include everyone.
Well, it is, you know, comedy is an exchange of energy that is different from a lot of other art forms. You know, in music, the music goes out and it covers everybody. In acting, I mean, there's a response, but in comedy, it's a tennis game. It's serve and return. You hope they return, serve and return. So when I teach my class, I talk a lot about the physics of energy and how you blend an audience, how you put them all together, how you get them to connect with you. Because you can be the funniest person in the world, and if they're not connected with you on some level, it doesn't matter. You know, it will fall on deaf ears. So a lot of it is about, I call it connecticating.
Oh,
you know,
I like that.
Yeah, I have a keynote talk called Connecticating. Because, you know, you can connect with people without really communicating. You know, we've all been married.
Sure,
right? You can communicate without connecting, but when you put those two modalities together, when you can truly connect with people and communicate at the same time, there's a deeper level of understanding between the two people or between the performer and the audience. And so, to me, it's a really kind of a sacred energy between audience and performer.
Sure, that's treasured. That's a real treasure. I like how you you just put that out.
It's much deeper than two guys walk into a bar. You know, for me.
Right. Sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I can.
It's a relationship. You know, you're having a relationship with those people, and they come to you in hopes of being taken to a better place because of you.
Good.
And
Good
I
point.
hope to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, let's get to let's answer a couple more questions. Then we'll get to your teaching because I really want to hear more about how you do that. Well, could you tell our audience where you have presented your comedy shows and other comedians that you've worked with?
Well, I have worked in almost every state in the United States. I've worked in I've worked in Canada. I've worked in Grand Cayman. I've worked in Europe. So I've performed internationally. Locally, You know, I did the shows at the Carson Valley, and I produced my own show for 10 years at the Carson Valley Inn.
Oh,
so I booked other
nice.
comedians to come in, and of course I work at the Improv up at the lake, and I Catch a Rising Star, and I work in Vegas. I do a lot of corporate events right now. I don't do comedy clubs as much. I mean, I still love to do comedy clubs because that's the only way you can really get your chops up by writing, by doing shows for 5 or 6 days in a row. But most of the work I do now is corporate work. So I'll fly in a day before. I might do 20 minutes, 45 minutes the next day, and fly home the next.
Oh goodness, busy.
Yeah, but it's more lucrative work than working for 5 or 6 days at a comedy club.
I see.
And so yeah, I just did a bunch of work in Texas, and am going back to Texas, and was just in Detroit, so I'm all over.
You are.
Yeah.
You like to travel, I think?
I do like to travel, but I don't think I like to do air travel every single week.
Oh,
I was trying to get out of Abilene, and we couldn't get out of Abilene because the captain's seatbelt wouldn't fasten. And so, yeah, I was like, we're only going a half hour. Can you just get some duct tape or something? It's really, but he wouldn't go, which is good, you know.
Sure.
So traveling has its challenges, but I also love it. I just need to, energetically, I don't have as many megabytes in my system as I used to, so I have to be more selective about how much energy I let come in and when.
Sure.
But that being said, I would still go any place anybody hired me. So.
Well, hey, why not, huh? Oh, how fun. You're just fun. Right, now I have come to your show at the Carson Nugget. And what else are you doing at the Carson Nugget now?
That was my birthday show.
Yes, it
That's
was.
when we had the big flood, and it took me 2 hours to get there from Gardnerville.
Oh, yes, it did.
Oh, what a night. Thank you to all of you that came and took 2 hours bumper to bumper traffic. It was very sweet. I'm actually bringing in the talent for the Nugget now on Friday nights. There's Friday night shows at 8 o'clock. And so, yeah, it's a great show. You know, I did the shows at the Carson Valley Inn for a long time, and now I'm having fun bringing in some of my funny and best friends and people I don't know yet to the Nugget. So Fridays at 8 o'clock, and then I'm also teaching my classes there.
Oh, your classes. Oh,
Yeah.
well, please, we'll just go right into your classes now.
I teach stand-up comedy classes. I have for 20 years. It's a 6-week class.
Oh.
Yeah, and it used to just be a thing I would do if I didn't have any work.
Okay.
And something that I could do while I was raising the kids and not leave. But it's really become a very important part of my career. In the last 2 years, I think I've taught about 10. I think I did one right after the other, which is a first. I've never really done that. And I had some students that came. I have a student in this class right now. She's from Carson City, and she took my first class back in 1998 when I was pregnant with my daughter Emma. So that's 18 plus years ago. She was in that class. So it's a 6-week class, and I take people from sitting in a chair, and 6 weeks later they're up on the stage doing a 5-minute routine. And I teach them how to find their authentic voice, how to get over stage fright.
Oh, that's a good.
So much of comedy is being honest after being brave, you know.
Sure.
So. But it's a lot of fun. So I'm teaching a class right now. In fact, I have one tonight, and they'll be graduating in 5 weeks, and then I'll probably teach another one. So it's
fun.
And I only take 10 students, very small class, because everybody has to wait through everybody else's acts. So
right.
The class also teaches you patience.
Well, that's a good point.
It's not all about you.
That's right. All right. Oh, let's see. And you teach your classes at the Carson Nugget.
Yes. For the first time, I just started the class at the comedy club inside the Carson City Nugget. Yeah. But I've taught them all over. I mean, it just.
Oh, okay.
But for now, that is my home, and it's working out great because I'm hoping to stock the pond, as it were. Because when the students. I have a lot of students who've gone on to really pursue stand-up comedy, and they're so excited when they earn their wings, as it were, and then there's nowhere to go. It's like learning how to fly a plane and then not being able to get in one again. So
good
I have a couple students that have gone on to be the opening acts at the Carson Nugget, and I have no doubt that they're going to go on to even do more than that, because I have some very talented students.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Some are just, I made it through that, I'm never doing that again. And other people are like, when can I do that again? You know, that's why I say my class is as much for the person you can't take the microphone away
Mm-hmm.
from as for the person you can't get on the mic. You know, people
Okay.
that are really, really shut down and really terrified, those are like my favorites.
Oh,
Because,
she's wringing her hands, people.
no, I like to, it's very gratifying to see someone feel so good about their work 6 weeks later and to be able to get up on the stage and do the thing that they thought they couldn't do. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Plus I get to laugh and have fun. And
Sure.
It's a great adjunct to performing.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you give them material to learn, or do you
Oh, yeah.
advise them to learn their?
Yeah, there's no barbershop jokes, internet jokes.
Mhm.
No. You are to find your own material.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have it be authentically unfunny than have it be funny and have it belong to someone else. So
Sure.
what I do for them is in between the dress rehearsal and the final performances, I will help them punch up their acts and edit their acts
Mhm.
when we get to the very end, if they choose, so that it makes them have to sit down and be disciplined and type out their whole act and send it to me.
Oh, okay.
And then it's fun for me because it's, you know, like a crossword puzzle. I get to go, oh, this would be really funny. This would be a good callback. This segue doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I will help them towards the end, but they have to come up with their stuff.
Gosh, this
Absolutely.
class sounds like it's very involved.
It's a lot of fun, but they have to be committed and they have to
Sure.
show up and they have to do the work.
Mhm.
But most of them, they're always called. The little group of people, whether it be 5, 6, 8, 10, the people that show up are always the right and perfect people that are meant to be there. And they're chomping at the bit to get up
Oh,
there. And,
sure.
you know, because they've been told their whole lives, oh, you're so funny. Or, and
Uh-huh,
everything.
right.
You know, so for most of them, they already think they're really funny. They get humbled very quickly because
Oh.
sometimes it's not as funny as, or it's not as easy. You know, you could be sitting around your table and have the whole family in stitches,
Mhm.
but then you stand up under the lights with people looking at you that you don't know, and your funniness just vaporizes because that's your ego. You know, your ego just gets in there and goes. And so we talk a lot about dealing with ego and being grateful for it, but also not letting it be our master. And
Oh, good point.
so it's a lot about overcoming fear.
Mhm. And you have 100% success rate, right?
I do.
I knew you would.
I do. I only have one person I would say who maybe kind of failed my class. He was very bright. He was a doctor. He didn't
Ooh.
fail it because he chose his own path, but
Mhm.
he was one of those people that just really thought that he was so funny he wasn't going to have to write his material.
Oh.
And then that whole thing happened where everything vaporized and, went away. But he came back and took a class several other times and had a lot of respect for what I had to say.
Oh,
And-
good.
but everybody has their own level of success. I mean,
Mhm.
some people are hugely funny, some people not so much. But the fact that, like, one of my friends took it and she was very, very shy. And she said, I can't do the showcase. I'm not funny at all. And I said, well, then you could be the MC. So she did the MCing and she called the first person up and she said, well, I took Kat's class and I learned I am not funny. And the audience started laughing and then that empowered her. And the MCing that was her graduation.
Uh-huh.
So everybody has their own finish line.
Right. How interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we should take the class, huh?
She's like, no,
Yeah, right.
I'm just getting this counting thing down in the silence. I don't want to get up on a stage.
That's right. Well, just real quickly, can you give the cameraman and the camera person, I should say, and Kat are going back and forth here. Just real quick, can you give the contact information, how people can sign up for your class?
Yeah, my website is, do we really have to say it? www.kat, K-A-T. Of course, that's probably on the screen somewhere, the prompters, right? You have all that?
I will be.
KatSimmons.com, K-A-T Simmons, S-I-M-M-O-N-S.com. And my website's on there, and my travel dates are on there, and the next class is on there. You can send me an email, and my phone number's on there too. I never even get any prank calls. I put my number out there on all over the place. I never even get a bad call. I can't even conjure up one of those heavy breathing calls. Nobody calls. Whatever. I won't take it personally.
Oh my gosh, I just love you. You are fun.
My number's in the newspaper.
Oh,
And I never even get like somebody trying to sell me something.
Oh.
Nothing. Except for the right and perfect group that take the class.
That's
So
right.
that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
That is. Oh, that is. Now, I would like to start talking about your new avenue that you have gone down. That is becoming a wonderful author. Can you tell our viewers about your awesome book?
I can.
All right.
This is my book, and Cat's Daily Cups. And this is my beautiful daughter, Emma, and she was my illustrator for this book. She illustrated, there's 30 short stories in here, and she illustrated each and every one of them. And she also did some coloring books in the back. There's 5 different one-of-a-kind coloring books that you may color in journal. This book is a compilation of stories, like it says, a collection of stories about children, animals, and inspiration. And for me, the book came to life because I used to write like these blogs, A Daily Cup Of. And it started out with the Daily Cup of Chaos because the stuff that would happen to me was just so crazy. I was like, could this possibly be happening to somebody else? And the very first one in there, excuse me, is the Daily Cup of Reindeer. I had to change it from Daily Cup of Chaos to Reindeer because my daughter couldn't draw chaos. So when you read that, you'll know that that was the first one. But I almost electrocuted myself, and it was a very funny story after the fact, you know, because I didn't die. But so I wrote about it, and writing for me is a way to connect,
Sure.
connectication, and I'm an empath, so much comes into me, especially in the way of animals, and I'm a very sensitive person, so sometimes putting a paper to a pen and writing out my feelings is just, it's cheaper than therapy. And it's a way, especially if you write something that you think maybe just you hold, and then you write it and you put it on paper, and then somebody else reads it, and then they're moved by it. It's a beautiful thing.
It is?
And so it was, you know, it was a little risky because people would come up to me and go, "Oh, your book, there was a lot of really personal, vulnerable stuff in there. How did you feel about that?" And I go, "Well, I guess I'm kind of nervous now." But, I mean, it's not a tell-all, but there's stuff about my marriage, my mother's passing. We talked a little bit about that. It was a very profound thing. So that's how this book came to be. And I just knocked over your slate.
That's all right. That's okay.
Okay. But we'll just put my book in front of
There you
your
go.
slate. How's
There
that?
you go.
Look at that right there.
That's good.
There we
That's
go.
awesome.
So you can get that from my website. I'll sign a copy to you and mail it to you.
Nice.
Just go on the book page of my website, and you all remember what that is.
Yes, it will be right underneath us here.
Yeah.
Well, do you plan on becoming a continued author or have other books in plans? Or?
You know, my editor was like, "You got to write another book. You got to write another book." And it's so weird when I work, whether it's on stage or I do a class or I write a book. When it's done, it's just so done.
Okay.
Like I almost forgot. It was like International Book Day the other day. I almost forgot I wrote a book because it's so in the past for me.
Right.
My daughter will be graduating, like I said, in less than 3 months now, and I can't imagine I'm not going to write again.
Sure.
I'm going to write another book. I thought about writing a book called Moment of Mercy and interviewing people who became vegans or vegetarians and asking, what was that pivotal moment for you when you changed your perception about eating animals to having reverence for all of them, because, you know, I'm quite an animal advocate. So that's in the back of my mind. I may end up writing about reclaiming my nest, you know, and re-nesting, because this is, you know, I hope this next third of my life is going to be filled with some amazing things. And so I don't know for 100% sure, but I can't imagine I won't write another book.
Well, I think we're all happy about that. Yeah. Well, we'll be looking forward to reading this book and also all your next volumes that you write.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing. My editor said, you know, this could go on to be like a chicken soup series because it's got that kind of prototype, like Cat's Daily Cup of Empty Nesting, parenting, animals.
That would be
activism,
exciting.
dating. I mean, I could just take all the pockets of all the different stories and make concentrated volumes based on the same prototype.
Sure. Well, I like that idea. Don't you, viewers?
We'll see.
You bet. Awesome. Now, you mentioned a very precious...
Oh, you're going to talk about my mom, huh?
Would you mind giving us that treasured story?
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably cry. I can't remember which chapter it is in here. I think it's Daily Cup of White Mice, which doesn't seem like it would have anything to do with my mother. But when I brought my mommy home to pass, I got my daughter some white mice because I was so involved nurturing my mother. My daughter was begging for these white mice so she would have something to nurture. So I bought her these white mice, and you have to read the book to see what happens to them. But my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she also had Alzheimer's. And when we knew she wasn't going to be making it, my dad was going to put her in a facility, and he was out looking for great places for her to be. And I said, you can't do that. You can't take her anywhere. It's not like she's going to be playing bingo and visiting with people. She's getting ready. She's going to make a transition. So I begged him to let me have her. And he was very reluctant, but he finally conceded. I had to have the hospice nurse, the social worker, the whole oncology department. Everybody was like, let your daughter take your wife. Because he couldn't do it. He couldn't hear her, and he wasn't equipped. And at the time, I had a good friend of mine who was the head of St. Mary's Hospice, and I made a phone call. And the next day, my house was turned into a shrine. I had her bed, and I had... I staged shows, so it was like a transition show. So I had waterfalls and essential oils and beautiful music, and it was beautiful. And I'm the eldest of the family, and I'm a caretaker, codependent. So it was my job not only to help my mother make her transition, but also to comfort my family. And so the family came and went for 8 days. And on her last day, she was checked out by then. I don't know if you've been with someone who's passed, but at least with my mom, she had kind of checked out, and I was preparing her. My dad was coming down that day, and I was washing her and putting oils on her, and she was gone, and I was talking to her the whole way, and I just said, I know you're going to be very busy when you get to the other side, Mom, but like you always told me every time I traveled, let me know you made it there okay. I said, I don't know what kind of intake processing you're going to be going through, but if you can you just let me know that you made it there okay? And it was weird because as I was talking to her, her eyes came back down from looking up, and she connected with my eyes for like 20 seconds. And then she went away again. And then I went, okay, I know she heard me. So my dad showed up a few minutes later, and I left them together, and he said, you can stay in the room. I said, no, you guys stay together. You be together. And she died in his arms minutes after I left the room. And everyone was, of course, devastated and sobbing and crying, but I felt like a spiritual midwife. I just was like, good for you, Mom, because I was coaching. She asked me, when your own mother says, how do I do it? How do I die? Oh, what a question, right?
Sure.
So I just held up a candle, and I said, now I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's going to feel a little bit like when you get to the end of a diving board, and that fear before you jump. I said, just jump. You're going to be okay, and there's going to be light, and I'm pretty sure that everyone you ever loved that went before you and every animal you ever saved is going to be there to meet you, Mom. And so I hope that was true, but I don't know. And so when she passed, everyone was sobbing, and I opened the door because I thought maybe her soul would get out the sliding glass door easier.
Sure.
If a soul can get out through the roof, it can, But anyway, so the next day, I heard this sound, and it sounded like the vent of my heater was squeaking. It was very loud, and I was like, what is that? And I went outside in the backyard, and outside my daughter's room is a peach and an apricot tree, and in the apricot tree were 10 yellow finches singing so loud, 10 of them. There was no feed, there wasn't a seed stock, nothing. Just 10 yellow finches on this freezing cold day on January 26th. And I went back in the house, and I went to the window, and I looked through the window at those birds. And one of the birds jumped from the apricot tree to the peach tree. Just looked dead at me. And I was like, okay, Mom, I got it. And I believe with all my heart. And then the finches kept coming all week long. There was red ones and yellow ones, and there must have been 25 finches singing on the side of the house. And when I was going through all my mother's belongings and all the letters she had written to me when I had left to go to Glendale to pursue my dreams, all the stationery that she wrote to me on was Yellow Finches.
Oh, goodness.
And a year to the date later, guess what was in that tree?
More finches, the yellow finches.
More Yellow Finches. A year later.
Uh-huh.
So I just,
Aw.
you know, I don't know, this is your area, the whole spirit world, but I understand that our loved ones work through birds. And I would like to believe that that's my mom. And so whenever I see Yellow Finches in my backyard now, they come at interesting times. On
Sure.
the day where I'm feeling particularly lonely or vulnerable or confused, out of nowhere, a Yellow Finch will just,
Yep. That's your mom?
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it.
What a treasured moment you had. Really. A spiritual treasured moment. Oh, yeah, so your mom.
I'd like to write a little book. I did actually write a book about her passing called 10 Yellow Finches, excuse me. And so I had a friend that worked in hospice, and she said, I'd really love it if you would write that whole book about your mother's passing. It would be so good for people in hospice.
Sure.
Because death can be such a beautiful thing. I mean, babies are born and everybody's yay, yay, and cigars, and people die and we're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I just wish that we could all realize that it's just another birth. It's just, you know, it's just a different kind.
Sure. Thank you, Kat, so much for sharing that very precious moment with
You're
us.
welcome.
And for sharing all your other moments during this show. What a fabulous person you are.
Oh.
In many ways, many ways. And thank you very much for being on Psychic Creations today. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for having me on Psychic Creations.
Oh, I just love
My mother
to be
said I
here.
used to walk around with a bandana on my head and a balloon, and I would pretend like I was a fortune teller. If she could only see me here today on Psychic Creations. She probably does see me, right?
Yes, she does.
She might even be that bird out there that was greeting me. when I walked in.
Exactly. I think you're right about that. I think you're right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for watching Psychic Creations. And if you would like to be a guest on my show, please know that the content is of the spiritual, the paranormal, holistic health, history, and comedy.
Yay, I just made it.
Yeah. You can contact me at my website, which is www.sandypsychicstones.com, or at my email address, which is admin@sandypsychicstones.com. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, viewers, and we'll see you next show.